Porsche has always been known to punch above its weight, sometimes outperforming cars with significantly more horsepower. If it's not the horsepower, it must be the handling. And caster might just be one of the secret sauce Porsche uses for better handling. In order to understand caster, we need to fully understand camber and its benefits for lap times. Caster is only adjusted in the front wheels. We'll only be talking about camber in the front wheels as well. When a car goes through a turn, it experiences unequal loads on the tires, with the outside tire experiencing a higher load and the inside tire experiencing a lighter load. The tire with the heavier load benefits from more negative camber because of tire deflection, and we want to keep the tires as flat as possible against the road. On the inside tire, the tire with lighter load, the opposite's actually true. We want less camber on that particular tire during a turn. If we look closer at the inside tire, we can see that about 1/3 of it is actually off the ground. It would benefit from having less camber. In fact, having a tire that's almost straight up and down might be beneficial here. Whether you're at an autocross, HPDE, or time attack, happy tires make for faster lap times. Ideally, this is what we want. The tire experiencing a bigger load during a turn, you want to have more negative camber on that particular tire. The tire with less load, you want less negative camber. And when the car is going straight, you also want less negative camber so that you can have as much rubber against the road when you're hard on the brakes as possible. So how does Porsche get as close to this condition as possible? With caster. Because caster gives you dynamic camber. What is meant by dynamic camber? Well, when you turn the steering wheel, the outside tire gets more and more negative camber the more you turn the steering wheel. The more wheel you give it, the more negative camber you get. The inside tire, the more wheel that you give it, the less negative camber you get. The wheel becomes more and more straight up and down. Caster allows you to run less static camber. In other words, when the car's not moving, the amount of camber that you've got at setup. And what this does is, in a straight line, you get better braking performance because if your tires are more straight up and down, you have a bigger contact patch when you're on the brakes hard. To make up for this, the dynamic camber component, when you're turning the steering wheel, the more you turn the steering wheel, the more negative camber you get on the outside tire, and the less negative camber you're getting on the inside tire. When you turn the wheel, the more you turn the wheel, the outside tire gains more and more negative camber, giving you more grip, and the inside tire is actually more and more straight up and down, putting more rubber on the road through the turn. One of the reasons why caster isn't well understood is because of the confusing explanation that we often get. Here's a simple way. When the strut tilts like this, you have more caster. For our friends with wishbones, when the angle tilts like this, more caster. Less caster, more caster. Let's take a look at how Porsche uses caster in their product line. Here we're looking at the strut mounts for the S GTS and the GT3 and GT3 RS on the top, with the GT3 and GT3 RS being some of the best performing Porsche products. Now the main difference here is where the strut mounts to these plates. At the bottom, we can see that the strut mounts right in the middle. And at the top, the strut mounts on the far left, giving it more caster. Porsche had to go through a complete redesign to take out the bulge on the bottom and make this hole as small as possible so that we can get as much caster and make the hole as far left as possible. Porsche knows that caster is one of the secrets for better handling and happier tires. This is why Porsche products in general have higher caster than most vehicles, and their GT cars have the highest caster. If you're still watching and you want to see how this actually works, here we go. Straight up and down means no caster, and the wheels have no camber when it's turned. Now you can see that there's camber when we have caster. More camber. If we look at the inside tire, it loses camber when the wheel is turned.